Welcome back friends. In today's video we will be discussing basic structure of C++ program and steps to execute it in C++ development environment. Let's start with basic structure first. To explain this, I will be taking implementation of Hello World program, that is a program to just print Hello World on our output screen. In C++, a program is divided into following section. First one is standard libraries section. This contains these two statements. Then main function section. This contains this one. And then function body section. This contained this. Our first section is standard library section, which includes hash include iostream and using namespace std. Here, first we have hash include. This is a specific preprocessor command that effectively copies and pastes the entire text of the file specified in between angle bracket into the source code. This is the file which is copied to the source code. Here in this program, our source code is Hello World program. Then we have iostream file, which is a standard file that comes with the C++ compiler, which stands for input output stream. This file contains code for displaying and getting an input from user. Standard library section code says use the tools such as cout and endl etc. from std toolbox. Using namespace std means we use the namespace named std, where std is an abbreviation for standard. So that means we are using all the things within standard namespace. We can use namespace in these ways. First one is this, which we have used in our Hello World program. Then this, that is in place of this, you can use like this. For each cout you will be doing this. Next is this. For each cout you can write like this, but at the top you have to declare like this. You must be thinking why namespace is used when we have all the items inside iostream header file. So the answer to that is this. iostream header file is defined something like this. If we need to use cout, endl or cin or something like that, and we are just adding iostream file without specifying the namespace, the compiler will throw an error because this keyword are defined in std namespace here inside the iostream.h file. When we run a program to print something using namespace std says, if you find something that is not declared in the current scope or program, go and check std. Our next section is main function section. The starting point of all C++ program is main function. When a C++ program is executed, the execution control goes directly to the main function. This function is called by the operating system when our program is executed by the computer. This signifies starting of the main function, and this signifies ending of main function. Once all the instructions in main are executed, the control passes out of the main, terminating the entire program and returning a value to the operating system. By default, main in C++ returns an integer value to the operating system. In place of int, we can sometimes use void. Like here we can use void to return to main function. Void is a keyword in C++ language, and whenever we use void as a function return type, that function returns nothing, as void means nothing. In this case, the main function does not return any value. Last part is function body section. The name cout is a short form of character output and displays the value whatever comes after this shift operator or prints the text in between this. The return keyword tells the program to return a value to the main function int. After return statement, the execution control returns to the operating system component that launched the program. Therefore, main function should end with a return 0 statement where 0 indicates a success and non-zero value indicates failure or error. Execution code ends here. Let's cover a few points related to a basic program which we will be using in our future videos. First line is preprocessor directive. Next is name space usage declaration. These two we have already discussed. Next is global variable declaration. Global variable is a type of variable that can be accessed from any part of the program. They are available throughout the lifetime of a program. Global variables are usually declared outside all the functions. Like you can see, it's declared outside all the function, and at the top of the program it is declared. Next we have local variables declaration. Now what is local variable? Variable defined within a function or a block are said to be local to those functions. That like A and B are local to main function because it is inside this block. These two variables can be accessed only inside this block. It cannot be accessed outside. Next we have definition part of local variable. Here we need to understand what is the difference between declaration and definition of variables. Declaration of variable means stating of just the data type and specifying its name for the memory allocation. While definition means giving the value of that variable, like you can see here. We are giving a variable's value, that is a is equal to 10. Then we have definition part of our global variable. This is called global variable definition. Next are comments. This is single line comment and this is multi-line comment. You can go through this in detail in my comment video. Next we have is a print statement where we have used cout in order to print sum as the text and its result. Let's go through steps to execute a C++ program using C++ development environment. Phase 1 is editing phase. In this phase, the programmer creates a program in the editor and stores it in the disk. Then pre-processing phase. In this phase, processor processes the source code and modifies the original program according to directives that starts with hash and again stores it into the disk. Then compiling phase. In third phase, which is compiling phase, the compiler creates an object file containing machine language code and stores it on the disk. Then linking phase. In this phase, the linker links and merges the object code with the libraries and creates an executable file and then stores it on the disk. Next is loading phase. In this phase, the loader loads the program into the memory. Then we have executing phase, where the CPU takes each instruction from the memory and executes it. Let's understand this in detail. Pre-processing phase. In this case, removal of comment is done, expansion of macros to behave like functions, expansion of hash include files like stdr.h is missing. Instead of that, lot of code is added to our source code because these header files are being included and expanded. Then conditional compilation takes place, which means some portions are ignored. Print statement contains a plus b now in place of this because all these are expanded in this phase. Next phase is compilation phase. C++ compilation phase itself contains two processes. First is the compiler takes the source code and converts into assembly language. Assembly language is a low-level programming language that more closely resembles to machine instruction of a CPU. Second, assembly language is converted again into actual machine code using an assembler. The resulting output is a set of files stored in an intermediary file which is called object file. Machine code consists of instructions written in binary form described as machine language because this is what the CPU actually understands. An object file has .obj or .o as its extension and is created for each source file. Then we have linking phase. The first stage of this is converting the object files into executable files or libraries. Once this has been successfully achieved, the next is linking the executable with any external libraries we want to use in our program. Suppose we are adding some other object file or third-party file, then in this stage the linker links all these files to our code. The library is just a reusable file which contains functions, classes and objects that have common purpose. For example, math library. Next we have is loading phase. In this phase, loader loads the entire program into the main memory or primary memory, or you can say RAM, without making any further change to the program and runs it. Next question is how CPU executes the instruction. That is what happens here. Our computer processor has instruction pointer. These are small set of data holding place. This instruction pointer holds the memory address of instruction to be executed next, which is this. The CPU is hardwired to read the instruction pointer and execute the instruction at that particular address after an instruction is executed by the CPU. The instruction pointer is automatically incremented to the next instruction of the program. Then the management unit executes the instruction with the help of our system bus. We have three types of bus: control bus, data bus and address bus. Control bus carries CPU commands and returns status signals from memory. It carries signals such as read to indicate the memory is being read by the CPU and write to indicate the memory is being written by the CPU. Other than read and write, many more signals can be sent and received from the memory and CPU through control bus. An address bus sends a memory address from the CPU to the memory. This address is stored in the form of binary numbers to enable the data bus to access memory storage. The data bus sends the actual data to and from the memory. The following steps are taken while execution process is done for instructions. Starting from a sequence of instructions is stored in memory first. The first instruction is searched from the memory and then the address is found, and after finding it, this is copied to the instruction pointer. The CPU then starts the instruction fetch process by sending the address within the instruction pointer to the memory on the address bus and sends a read signal through the control bus. Memory responds to sending a copy of the state of the bit at that memory location on the data bus that the CPU then copies into instruction register. The instruction pointer is automatically incremented then to the next instruction in the memory. The CPU then starts execution of that instruction by executing the instruction within the instruction register. After execution of the first instruction, the CPU again repeats the same process starting from instruction fetching till instruction execution and continues it till it receives halt instruction, where it stops and sends the output to the output screen. So guys, in this video we'll learn the basic structure of C++ program and how they are executed. In our next video we will be learning about different types of errors. Please do check those videos. And do not forget to like, share, subscribe and press the bell icon. Thanks for watching.